Good evening, and it is a delight to welcome you all here. Today, our International Advisory Council met. Tomorrow, our governing trustees will convene, and tonight it is splendid that a number of our friends have joined them and some of our staff for this dinner to mark the 60th anniversary of the establishment of the IISS. Like all anniversaries, this one allows us to remind ourselves of the great foundations that were established for our organization and, faithful to our original traditions, commit to building something even greater on them. I want to pay immediate tribute to our principal founder, Professor Sir Michael Howard. His clarity of mind, elegance of expression, and persistently enlightened approach to the great strategic problems of the day serve as a permanent inspiration to those of us who are privileged enough to work at this fine institution. He could not be with us today, but I hope that, sitting in his lovely library at home, his ears are ringing with pride in what we have done and what we intend still to do. I also want to thank some key individuals who, over the years, played a key role in guiding this institution, but also personally advising me as I grew within the IISS and came to lead it. Professor Hedley Bull, my supervisor at Oxford, and the person who first introduced me to the IISS, had a simple scholarly maxim in 4 words: thinking is also research. His advice was that new strategic perspectives were not gained principally through the pedestrian mastery of scholarly footnotes, but emerged from quiet reflection married to energetic imagination. The first director I worked for at IISS, Robert O Neill, taught me that an international relations institute had to have international relations of its own, and that its leadership needed skills in diplomacy, not just analysis. He taught many of us how to gain trusting friendships with government officials and analysts from different cultures and backgrounds, recruiting them to the reasoned debate and inspired analysis the Institute has always sought to provoke. François Hesbourg, for whom I also worked and has served as chair of our council, always encouraged fresh thinking and supported all of my efforts to extend the Institute's work to what in the 1980s was called ROW, or Rest of the World. He also tolerated some youthful impertinence. When I was writing my Adelphi paper on French military power in Africa, I referred to the elite force styled in French Commando de recherche et action dans la profondeur, by its correct French acronym spelled CRAP. I drafted the analytically correct sentence with some impish pride: when intervening in Africa, the French send their crap troops in first. He smiled. It fell to someone on the IISS editorial team to tell me that factual accuracy had sometimes to be tempered with emotional intelligence, and the acronym, though not the full name, was taken out. François Hesbourg has always kept us sharp and demands extreme intellectual agility in his interlocutors. That is valuable when you are growing a research institute. He has been a great intellectual force for us, a strategist of the first rank, the ultimate geopolitician. We should all salute François Hesbourg's extraordinary contribution to IISS life. Fleur de Villers, a great friend and chair of our trustees, has helped me and the IISS family in so many different ways. She was the most celebrated journalist in Africa of her generation, and leaders on the continent of all stripes grew to respect her intellectual integrity, her search for truth, and her sympathetic, tenacious push for the freedom of the individual. She personally played an important role in conflict resolution and has generously lent to us the best practices of her historically important achievements. Working in business with the Oppenheimer family represented here today, she was among the first to practice the principle that I preached recently in a Harvard Business School journal article that every company needs a foreign policy. Fleur has been a personal friend, but the wisest counsel any organization could have. It was with her support that we could make the IISS not just a policy-relevant organization, but a strategic actor in its own right. We all owe Fleur de Villers huge thanks. Perhaps most influential of all in the last 2 decades has been my wife, Teresa. Her optimism, enthusiasm, and the scale of her vision for what this institute could accomplish has been quite something. Teresa's willpower has served for me as a kind of legal performance-enhancing drug whenever my spirit otherwise might have flagged. In 1997, when I entered a sealed bid to buy our present London headquarters, Arundel House, we failed, and the IISS found out soon that we were the third underbidder by a mere £50,000. I moped around the house like the sulkiest of teenagers, absorbed by the obvious unfairness of the process that had failed to declare me the clear negotiating victor. Fed up, she looked at me and said, "Find out who bought it, offer them a small profit, maybe you can throw in your present building and much less cash, and just go and get it." That I duly did, and we completed soon afterwards what, at least for us, was the real estate deal of the century, and now have a London headquarters that we are again redeveloping for a new generation. Everyone who works at or visits IISS at Arundel House has Teresa to thank. In the last 20 years, what we have done with confidence from our fine London base and at our 3 other international offices is to build an organization that, through the facts it generates, the analyses it produces, and the influence it exerts, shapes positive strategic change internationally in ways that no one else can do. Facts first. The military balance was originally a 16-page pamphlet that described the balance of power between the NATO and Warsaw Pact powers. Today, that product is not just a 600-page book covering 171 countries. It is a sophisticated relational electronic database that will transform the nature of defense analysis as dramatically as the Bloomberg terminal revolutionized financial analysis. As we add further data visualization tools and AI attributes to it as a tremendous new resource, we are confident the new revenue the database will generate for us will help to fuel many elements of our future research programs. Analysis next. From our short-form strategic comments through to articles in Survival to longer Adelphi books, we offer fresh interpretations of the changing geoeconomic and geopolitical scene. But an excellent publications program is no substitute for the capability rapidly to deploy resources to meet a strategic need. That is as true in the analytical as in the military realm. This year, we have provided a steady stream of short papers for the UK and EU governments on European defense and security after Brexit that offer cool, practical assessments of a cooperative way ahead. There has been much talk over recent months about Iran's so-called malicious activities in the Middle East. But of what do they consist? How are proxies, partners, occasional allies, and others marshaled, commanded, supported, and financed? To answer these and many other questions, we have assembled an amazing team of individuals with technical and linguistic expertise. And in the first quarter of next year, we'll publish a strategic dossier on Iran's political and paramilitary networks, which we think will break new ground in this area and offer an analytical and fact base that will inform sound strategy. Influence, finally. We have created many intergovernmental defense diplomatic forums. At this year's IISS Shangri-La Dialogue in Singapore, India's Prime Minister Modi set out his vision of the Indo-Pacific before 575 delegates. Important policies were announced and fine strategic statements made in plenary sessions. But at one of the special sessions, we were able to gather together the National Security Advisor of Myanmar with his Bangladeshi opposite number and the President of the International Committee of the Red Cross to address the Rohingya crisis, an example of the many ways we quietly help to advance difficult conversations. At the Manama Dialogue, held last month in Bahrain, we had a key speech from the King of Jordan on the importance of the Arab-Israeli peace process. Our delegates were the next day treated to an electrifying presentation from the Omani minister responsible for foreign affairs, who chose the IISS platform to report on the secret visit made 3 days earlier by the Israeli Prime Minister to Muscat. In his remarks, the Omani minister said, "Israelis have suffered too. Israel has many capabilities and ways it can benefit the region, and diplomatic recognition is yesterday's language. Israel is a state in the region, and that is a fact." None of us think a peace treaty is about to emerge, but if abandoning ossified narratives in favor of fresh language is a precondition to reconciliation, we witnessed something special at the Manama Dialogue. And on its sidelines, the US Defense Secretary, with numerous others who we had gathered, began to push for greater urgency in the political talks to end the horrid conflict in Yemen. We have no agenda of our own in these summits we convene from Southeast Asia to Latin America, other than to provide some of the oil to ease the friction of diplomatic exchange. The defense diplomatic results we seek are won from the trust that we have steadily gained with so many different countries around the world. Quiet influence with government and business is made possible by the authority we enjoy because of our ability to identify and explain strategic change with an independent cast of mind, having recruited the finest experts to our enterprise. Today, we launch a 60th anniversary research and development appeal meant to support ambitious new research streams that we have devised and to provide the infrastructure to support them. We have made preparations over the summer, and since mid-September, over the last 8 weeks, we have received confirmed donations and oral pledges of some $10 million. We hope over the next year to raise an important multiple of that. To that end, we will seek the help of many in this room and our friends beyond. The strategic challenges now are stunning. Understanding cyber power today is as daunting as appreciating nuclear weapons was 60 years ago. Those who want to disrupt the status quo engage in what I call tolerance warfare, stress testing the vulnerabilities in our societies to different forms of pressure at sea, in the air, on land, but also through social media, in our elections, and over our broadcast networks. That effort to push back lines of resistance, assert rights unilaterally, break rules, strip others of initiative, and gain systematic advantage over hesitant opponents is a troubling challenge. Influence operations are for many not a subset of strategy, but its main instrument. The different ways opponents can do us harm put special strain on intelligence services and the women and men who protect us. The place of intelligence in supporting wise foreign policy choices has again become important. For that reason, we are delighted and honored that our main speaker tonight will be Alex Younger, Chief of the UK Secret Intelligence Service, or MI6, who, off the record, will assess the current strategic scene as he perceives it. You will hear from him after the first course that you are about to enjoy. For the moment, let me leave you with the sentence that I offer to all of our researchers at the IISS. Good strategy is best developed with a cool head and a warm heart. The other way round too often risks dangerous mistakes. That is the approach we take. I expect it is all of yours too. Have a wonderful evening. Thank you.